Full Draw Friday, episode number 6. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Full Draw Friday, episode number 6. Today, I'm going to be talking about the lockdown and how to hunt it. A couple different strategies for having the most success during this time of year. When we're talking about the lockdown, we're talking about the peak of the rut, which a lot of guys might think this is going to be the best time to be out in the woods, or the best time of the rut, I guess, the most rut activity. Really, it's the opposite of that. This is the point in the rut where you're going to see the least amount of movement, more than likely, the least amount of daytime activity from those bucks. The reason for that is it's the peak of the estrus cycle for the doe. So there's the most does are in estrus right now, ready to go, than at any other point during the rut. And that's not to say it's right now, November 11th, but within the next 5 or 6 days, we're going to hit that peak. And that's when the bucks aren't going to have to go very far from doe to doe to find the next hot doe, so they're not going to have to travel as far, cruising. And then once they do get with one, they're generally going to be with them for a couple of days, hence the term lockdown. They're going to be locked down with that doe for 24 to 48 hours breeding. So it's a tough time to be in the woods, but there are some things we can do to increase our odds at killing a buck during this time of year. And really the way I see it, there are 2 different kind of overarching strategies. And the first one is going to be putting time in on stand. What I mean by that is if you're going to hunt all day, now's the time of year to do it. Get in there in the morning, sit all the way to the evening, pack a lunch, do whatever you got to do, get all the snacks that you're going to need for the day, some water, whatever it takes to get in there and sit. Because even though they're locked down, there's no rhyme or reason to the time that they're going to leave that doe and go looking for another one. And the best chance you're going to have at a buck during this phase is catching him in between does. So if he drops that doe at 11:30 and comes cruising by your stand at 11:45, you want to be there when that happens. That's the majority of the time the bucks that get killed during the lockdown is they're in between does. It's generally not when they're with their doe because they don't want to leave her because they're doing their thing. So that's why you're going to want to extend those sits. So even if you don't have to sit all day, at least sit till noon, go grab you a bite to eat or whatever and head out back to the stand at 1:30, 2 o'clock, probably 1:30 really, if you're not going to sit all day. If you're going to want to put the time in on the stand, that's how you're going to have to do it. Another strategy for the place to sit, a couple locations here, stand locations. One of them is water. And, both of these are really similar to what we talked about with hunting the heat in the rut last week. A big one's going to be water. Those deer are going to have to drink. Again, they've been chasing, and then if they are going to move during the daytime, it's probably going to be to go drink. So even though they're with that doe is going to have to go drink. That buck's going to go with her. That's going to be your chance maybe to catch him as well. If you can't catch him in between does, maybe you do catch him with that doe while they're going to get a drink. The other thing is you're going to want to be close to bedding. And similar to a lot of other times of year when they're not moving much, you're going to have to get in tight to their bedding more than likely to see them moving during the daytime or moving at all. I've got pictures of deer where they just laid up all night right in front of my stand, but it was at night. He bedded down with that doe, and he didn't leave until she left. They were there for several hours. So even during the nighttime then, they weren't moving much. It's just what the lockdown is. They're just not moving very far once they get with that doe. So the closer you can get to bedding, the better, because if he's in there with that doe in their bedding area, maybe you catch him up. She gets up to go feed, and he doesn't want to let her get too far away, so he follows after her. Maybe you catch him going to do that. That's another option for you as far as a stand location is. Now, kind of the other overarching strategy is to get mobile. And I think, by that I mean you could do some glassing from the truck. So if you've got different spots to go check out and you can see a lot from the road, or if you're public land hunting, get out the binoculars, get out the spot and scope, do some driving, cover some ground, go see if you can find a buck locked down with a doe. A lot of times they're going to be in those weird areas, fence rows up by the road, open fields. They're going to be out in the CRP fields. Maybe you just catch his rack and you can see where he's there with the doe, and that's going to give you a really good opportunity at a spot and stalk, because if you can locate him and you got the right wind, you can get it in your favor, you got a pretty good chance of putting a stalk on him right now because he is focused on that doe and not leaving her. So if she doesn't go anywhere, he's not going anywhere. You might be able to sneak up on him, get him stand up and get a shot on him. So that's one option. Glassing from the truck, I think, is a big one, and it keeps your interest too. So if you're not one to want to sit on stand all day, all morning, maybe you go into the stand in the morning, hunt till 10, and then you want to go out and cover some ground in the midday from the truck. You can do that as well. Maybe you find one bedded down with this doe. Like I said, put a stalk on them, kill them that way. The other one is, I don't have a really good term for it. You've heard Dad talk about it on the podcast if you listen to that a couple times. He talks about he talked about it, I think it was after the podcast. He talked about it with Dusty. I know he's talked about it on there before, but they went and it was during a snowstorm, I guess, and did some rattling at different locations. So they go to one place near what they thought was a bedding area, do some rattling, see if anything came in. If nothing come in 30 minutes or so, 15, 20, 30 minutes, get back in the truck and go to another place. So get out there. If you know those bedding locations and you got a good wind, you can go to one, set up, do some rattling, calling, wait, maybe do another sequence, wait, give it, 10, 15 minutes. If he doesn't come out, pack everything up, go back to the truck and try it again. Maybe that's how you pull him away from his doe. If he thinks there's another buck or two other bucks fighting coming in after his doe, he might get curious enough to come check it out. You might make him mad enough to come in and check it out, and then that's where you get your shot. So, and that can be a fun way to hunt too. I've done that as well myself with a guy. Just go in, get in tight with them, if you have to. If you can get in a thick spot where they really can't see, that's another good way to do it, because they can't see that there's nothing there, and they also can't see what they want to see, so they have to come closer to check it out, to see if there actually is any bucks in the area fighting. So that's one way you can do it too. That's, I think, a good way to keep your interest too if you're not seeing that many deer from the stand. So, excuse me. The other one, as far as getting mobile, is going to be still hunting. So while that sounds like, sitting still and hunting, what it really means is, if you're not familiar with it, is you're walking through kind of slow hunting a woods. Let's say there's an area that I've talked about before that I know of where if I have the right wind, if I have an east wind, I can start on the west edge of that woods and pick my way through it. And I'll get in there a little bit and I'll stop by a good tree or some good cover, pull up the binoculars and scan and see, and I might just stop and wait for a minute and listen. If I don't see or hear anything, just keep moving and then stop again for another 5-10 minutes, whatever it is. Do some glassing, look around, and then keep going. That's a really good way this time of year to maybe, again, just kind of like glassing from the truck, catch one that's bedded down with his doe. If you can sneak up on him when you have the wind in your favor, that can be a good way to kill him. Just make sure you're patient about it. You don't want to be moving through there too fast, because if he hears you or they see you before you see them, obviously you're out of luck. So get in there, and that's another situation where if you do see him and maybe you ran out of cover, you can't get to him, take those rattling horns too. Maybe you can get him up coming to you that way. So those are a few ways as far as being mobile that I think are going to keep your interest more if you're not one to want to sit in the stand all day. If you can't because of physical limitations or whatever it is, you just don't have the patience for it, those are some ways you can still be in the game without being sitting in a stand all day. So whatever suits your fancy as far as whether you want to be mobile or whether you want to be in one spot sticking it out all day, both of those are going to give you a better chance at success, I think, than the traditional, okay, I'm going to get up in the morning, go hunt for a couple hours, then I'm going to go back in the evening and hunt for a couple hours. Not to say you can't get it done that way, but you're going to really increase your odds if you're out there. Really, what it comes down to during the lockdown is you got to put in the time, whether that's time, again, in the stand or time on your feet, moving around from location to location, checking things out. You got to put in your time during this phase if you want to find that buck. So that's really what I want to talk about for this week as far as the lockdown goes. Like I said, it's going to be a little shorter. As you can tell, I'm fighting this cold some, so my voice isn't where it should be. I'm trying not to waste too much of it so we can get that other episode recorded for Monday. But if you guys want to support this, the Full Draw Fridays, I'm going to try to have some guests on here as well, maybe get Nate in to do some of them with me so you're not just listening to me all the time. But if you want to support it, you can go to ridgehunteroutdoors.com. If you use discount code FULLDRAW, all caps, no space, you'll get 10% off of anything on the website. So go there, make an order for some tarsal sprayers, some apparel, or some seed, anything we've got on there. Use the discount code FULLDRAW, and you'll get 10% off. So that's one way you can support. I'll know you heard it here because it's the only place I'm advertising that discount code. You can also go to the Ridge Hunter Outdoors podcast page on Apple. Leave us a review. We're doing a giveaway there. Go listen to the regular podcast to learn about that. So when that comes out on Monday, check it out and you'll find out what we're doing there. That's pretty exciting stuff. Follow us on Spotify. Go to YouTube if you're not watching this on YouTube. Again, this is on YouTube. Now we got the video going. So subscribe, like, comment, anything you guys, if likes and comments help just as much as subscriptions on YouTube helps push us out there to get us some new audience. So if you guys like what we're doing, like listening to us, and you think you're learning something, it's entertaining, whatever it may be, hopefully this is helping you. If it is, go ahead and share it everywhere on your Facebook. Let your friends know about it. Like and comment on whatever it's on, whether you're on YouTube or Apple. You can leave us a review there. That stuff really helps us out, guys. So, and that doesn't even cost you any money. If you do want to spend some money, though, like I said, use that discount code and save yourself some. Get yourself some good tarsal spray for this time of year. That's going to be good, too. Help yourself out. Help us out. We really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you again next Friday. Be sure to tune in Monday for that episode. Again, see what we're giving away on the Apple review side of things. So thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you again next Friday.